College Football Enquirer, and we don't normally start off with NBA news, but something tells me this is going to affect every level of every sport, and we will connect it to college football because of a recent rule change that is going to make everything a lot more interesting. Guys, the NBA is ablaze this morning. We knew that there were going to be some arrests. We knew there was an investigation going on. The press conference has not happened yet as we record this, but we do know that Terry Rozier from the Heat has been arrested. The more interesting news, though, is that Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups was arrested, according to Shams Charania of ESPN. Guys, we knew when more sports gambling was made legal that some stuff was going to happen. I didn't have NBA head coach arrested on my bingo card.
Yeah, pretty shocking, right? I mean, we've been knowing for a while, and our good buddy Pat Forty has done a lot of work on this, like about this investigation on both sides, the NBA and college basketball. And some of the college basketball stuff has sort of got announced or sort of has seeped out over the last few months. And it's honestly, it's right at fairly small schools, and you just kind of shrug. But
which is where you thought all that stuff would happen. This is huge. What's going on now is huge.
Yeah, pretty shocking. And I just don't. And then of course it all comes right, Andy. One day, literally, this happens one day after the NCAA formally adopts a policy that permits athletes on all divisions 1, 2, and 3 to bet on pro sports.
This is breaking as we were recording, so we're gathering this in real time. We're talking about like NBA players and coaches betting on NBA games. Is that, or are we talking about like they had a poker ring or something like that?
We'll find out. That's okay. The thing. We'll find out because there's
a wide wide
Billups
range.
One is not sports gambling. So according to Yahoo, so that is
interesting.
That is interesting that they wanted a big name.
Okay.
Along with this, because there was the Rozier stuff is prop bet type stuff,
Yeah.
It's that one's it feels a little more cut and dried because we've already seen the details of all that. But
Shams' report is just alleged illegal gambling from Billups. So I guess that could mean like illegal poker.
Yeah,
maybe he's got a craps table in the back of the room.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they running like a roulette game or something?
Yeah.
This varies so wildly from I don't care to wow, that's a seismic disruption to the brand reputation of the NBA. And so until we have more information, if it leans towards it's involved, if it's NBA game involved, I care. I guess I do.
Yeah,
because then it's Pete Rose. And then if it's like they got a card game going, move on.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They all have a card game. But that they all have a card game part of this is related to what Ross just said. So the NCAA just changed the rules and now players at college, on college teams can bet on pro sports legally. The reason they changed this rule is they could not enforce it.
Right.
Yeah.
The gambling is rampant on college campuses. Rampant. Like they were going to, like, if you banned every college player in every sport who's betting on NFL games, there wouldn't be anybody to play.
Yeah. This would be like a ban on going to the bar and having a drink if you're in college right now.
Yeah.
The ubiquity, like we're on college campuses a good bit, but we're middle-aged. And so it's not like we're running out to the freshman bars every Friday night before we cover a game.
Speak for yourself, Godfrey.
Are you still got it, buddy? You still got it? I believe you do.
He doesn't recover as fast.
I
just know from those Sunday recordings.
Get those mobile IV services.
Yes.
If you talk to undergraduates right now, and I've been on 4 or 5 campuses this season, the ubiquity of gambling apps is it is as much a part of life as dating apps or social media. And the idea of being able to police that away from the student athletes is it's not possible. But again, I want to be very careful here. Normally it's funny to like get the jokes off or whatever. Because this could range from who cares to damn, that's a seismic issue.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we haven't seen it yet in college football. As Ross mentioned, there is an investigation into college basketball. That one is in a DOJ office out of Pennsylvania. They have not had their big press conference, made their, web of arrests yet.
Yeah.
But we do suspect that it involves a bunch of smaller schools, college basketball. We haven't seen it yet with college football. I would not be surprised if it eventually comes to college football. If you have a point shaving scandal, or if you have the prop bet stuff seems pretty likely that something, the Jonte Porter stuff in the NBA, that's going to happen in college. It's probably already happened in college football and nobody's noticed it yet.
I should say the permission that the NCAA passed a new policy to allow athletes to sports gamble wasn't unanimous.
Right.
There's plenty of people out there at the presidential level, certainly at the AD level and coach level, who are very much against this lifting and fear that players who are 18, 19, 20 years old making, some of them $500,000 or so, will just go and blow it, so to speak, without. But you know what? Everybody's got to grow up and learn from mistakes at some point, right? So
that's right. And like Godfrey said, this is like telling the ocean to stop flowing at this point.
Yeah.
So
legislating morality is never. It's always an uphill battle.
Historically, it's not gone well.
No, prohibition. No. War on drugs.
I mean, the entirety of human history.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I personally would just draw the line for me. The only thing that would get me to do a my column moment would be if players or coaches are gambling on outcomes that they can affect directly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would be the Jonte Porter thing.
Yeah.
And the Jonte Porter thing, for those who don't remember, was incredibly stupid. He's telling his buddies, hey, put this on my rebound number, or put this on my point total, and then he'd take himself out of the game.
Do you guys care if I say this? Because this is true. But I talk to coaches at every level right now, from like power 2 to down to like D2 guys. And like at lower levels in the FCS, in the lower end of the FBS, people will be like, oh yeah, I put $100 on Alabama. Like a coach who's coaching in a game that has nothing to do with that. Like that to me, I don't care. Like I don't gamble, but
we saw this in college baseball where someone who had a direct, because the Alabama coach,
that guy was on the
told
phone
his
with that guy.
His dumbass buddy, hey, our starter's out tonight. Try to put $100,000 on a weeknight SEC game.
And then he showed his phone to the teller wouldn't take the bet, or they had problems taking the bet or whatever. So the guy was like, no, I know what I'm doing. I promise it's this game. Look. And he showed his phone text messages from the coach.
PSA real fast, because I come from a long line of a law enforcement family on the federal level, and I have friends who work in Vegas. Books and casinos have better private security and investigative arms than our police do at the state and federal level. Don't do that.
That's what it was. Sharp. I mean, U.S. Integrity found it immediately because the guy at
the casinos are immediately going to flag that.
I'm not a gambler myself, but I've learned a whole lot about this industry in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think
I can tell you right now, if you try to put a 6-figure bet on a regular season college baseball game, there's a button under the desk that somebody's pushing the second you ask.
You might as well just walk in with a shotgun and a scrawled piece of paper that says "put it in the bag."
Yeah. So
thankfully, I don't sports gamble either, because I'm 2-6, I believe, in our picks. So that's great.
Yeah,
we didn't have to bring that up.
That's a great segue, because we do have I've Got a Feeling later in the show, and our feelings have been awful.
#Fade Ross.
I will say, like, because on the On3 show, we have to pick 9 games a week, and I'm actually above 500 against the spread this season on those. But the I've Got a Feeling, which is supposed to be my best pick of the week,
that's
your
right,
layup,
is wrong most of the time.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, I have found a lot of Mountain West inefficiencies, so everybody can quit calling me a hipster and start making a little money.
Oh yeah, I say this as someone who picked a Big Ten game this week. Speaking of the Big Ten, we're going to transition to actual football. Theoretical gambling scandals, we'll get to them when we get to them. But actual football, Michigan is headed to Michigan State this week. And remember 10 years ago when this was a huge game?
Yeah. Trouble with
I missed that. I missed that.
Fighting in the tunnel, trouble with the snap.
We had the snap, the punt, all that good stuff.
Very great. There's different rivalries you can define in college football, and I think Michigan State might be the apex definition of in-state rivalry, where one school is going to be absolutely humiliated if they lose, and if they win, we didn't care anyway. We have bigger things to do. Whereas that other school is really going to build its entire identity off of that win, and that's not a negative against Michigan State, but that's the story we've been told by these fan bases for years.
No, this is look, we've been talking a lot lately about fired coaches in the carousel, and this is one where you could see an impact to that, I would think, to the carousel. Michigan State's lost 4 straight, I believe. Yep. I know it's just Jonathan Smith's second season?
It's only his second year, yeah.
Second season. Yeah. And but still, there's certainly
new
enough
AD.
Chatter. Right, yeah, new AD, J-Bat from Georgia Tech.
J-Bat, yeah.
And didn't hire him.
J-Bat got the bag, too. He doubled his salary going from Georgia Tech to Michigan State.
Yes. So
you tend to want to make an impact.
Of course, there's a rumor, too. Not a rumor. There's sort of, buzz about Michigan, too, and Sharon Moore. So this one, shapes up to be a pretty big game for either head coaches and could impact the carousel for sure.
Yeah, I think the Michigan fans were kind of out on Sharon Moore after the USC game, but not. They were fairly reasonable about it, because I think a Michigan fan view of this is, hey, he got a pretty tough situation that Harbaugh put him in last year based on the timing of his exit. So what happened last year, fine, plus the win against Ohio State bought him a lot of equity. This year they want to see improvement. They don't particularly feel like it has to be the playoff, but they do want to see improvement. So I think they're seeing that. But after the USC game, they were like, I don't know. But then they play their best game of the year against Washington. And now, if they play that game against Michigan State, they should win it. But guys, you brought up Jonathan Smith, Ross. I want to ask you guys this. What is Michigan State's identity? Because I know exactly what Jonathan Smith's Oregon State team's identity was. It was very clearly defined. And I don't understand why he hasn't been able to do that in East Lansing.
Not good. I cheered this hire because I really like what Smith did. I mean, even before the Pac-12's dissolve, breakup, whatever, I think Smith was really carving something out at Oregon State where personnel's going to be at a premium. Like you said, he came off he had a very clearly defined offensive identity. When he was an assistant under Chris Peterson, he was able to translate that at a place where personnel was harder to come by. And I thought, maybe naively, when he got hired at Michigan State, oh man, that storyline kind of transfers over to the state of Michigan. It's interesting for a second, Andy, because Michigan State got tired of being a workman-like program. The people around that program got tired of that definition under Mark D'Antonio of being like, this guy coaches up the 2 stars better than anybody. Now, I say that, they went to Big Ten championships with that blueprint, right?
They won Big Ten championships with it.
Yeah. They wanted to, and then they went and played Alabama in the playoff. They wanted to be something more than that. And that was the hire of Mel Tucker. Now, we all know how Mel Tucker ended, but there was an aspiration in that hire that is not matched by the Smith hire. And there were people on day one of the Smith hire who said, we're moving backwards. We don't want a development coach. We want someone who can go out and headhunt 5-star talent. The problem is he's not doing that. He's also not really showing us anything yet in the terms of proof of concept of this is going to be a development program. We're going to build up. We're going to be hard-nosed. He really hasn't put anything forward, to your point, Andy.
Well, he brought over a ton of guys and staff, but also players from Oregon State, including the quarterback, right, who's been pretty elusive guy. And I did expect more, too, from them.
Aiden Childs, you mentioned the quarterback.
Yeah,
he brought him in. That was his. He was a freshman when DJ Uiagalelei was also at Oregon State, and they would kind of mix them back and forth. Aiden Childs comes to Michigan State. Remember, do you guys recall which quarterback left Michigan State upon Aiden Childs' arrival?
Jeff Smoker.
Good guess. Not Jeff Smoker. Not Kirk Cousins. Not Connor Cook. That was Sam Leavitt.
Whoops.
Wow. Look at there. He's doing some things now.
Sam Leavitt of the unkillable Arizona State program. That's not good, Bob. we're not beating the allegations that you don't know what you're doing at this level right now, which sucks because I really like Smith. I think he's good long term. I just don't know if anybody gets a long term evaluation period anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think Andy, I think McMurphy wrote about it this week. It's like, coaches want patience, and it's like good luck, right? We're talking about 2 coaches in this game, right? That are in their second season, and we're talking about them being potentially fired.
Signetti puts so much extra pressure on all these other coaches because they're all like, but I need 4 years. And everybody's like, that guy didn't.
This dude showed up with some players from JMU and ripped everybody a new one. You're not getting, I used to play a game on some old podcasts of, we had the term year zero, like who's getting a year one, who's starting at year one, and who is inheriting a situation that is so detrimental that we're going to give them a year zero and start the clock next season. Year zero doesn't exist anymore. I don't want to yell in front of the mic, into the microphone. Year zero is gone, guys. You get year -1 at this point. You are expected to, in this new era, come in portal 45, 40-ish, right? And then immediately, like, I'm getting questions on Phantom Island right now from subscribers about what's the deal with Rich Rod. I'm serious. It's been
7 games.
He's coached 7 games. But he flipped he had the number 2 amount of transfers behind Barry Odom at Purdue.
Yeah.
And wants to, and like, I'm not defending Rich Rod, but there is a pretty significant system change, like schematic change at West Virginia. But no, Signetti has broken brains. I think it actually, it's like a derangement syndrome that's causing a lot of people to discount Indiana as a flash in the pan. Because if Indiana's real, which by the way they are, you got to keep pace with that now in the Big Two. And there's a lot of schools that aren't doing that with hires in 25 and 24 and 23. They're not even coming close.
Yeah. All of these things too, like this is a time where we're seeing a lack of patience in coaches, but also at the same time, more sort of parity in a talent distribution more than ever. So the games are tighter, and there's going to be, in general, more losses. And so these 2 things are sort of combining to give us, what we're going to see this year, which is a crazy carousel.
Yeah. And we're also going to see a crazy end of the season because as my On3 co-host, Ari Washburn, pointed out to me, we're getting back to this Michigan State game. He's like, look at the rest of Michigan's schedule. They're probably going to win this game. They're probably going to win the Purdue game and the Northwestern game and the Maryland game, which would mean Michigan would be Michigan would be hosting Ohio State in Ann Arbor, with Michigan potentially needing a win to clinch a playoff berth.
Juicy.
Can you even imagine?
Yes. Let's make that happen, Andy.
On behalf of the exhausted sigh, that is Ohio State fans who we've been texting about this, cannot barf up a formidable opponent before Michigan, and even though they look like world beaters,
so nervous.
Yes,
because they're so good.
They're great, dude. I think I called them 2012 Alabama on here recently, where they're just like slow cooking opponents. They're more talented at every position. They're controlling all of the terms of every game in any way they need to, which is usually on their own terms. Yeah, especially like some opponents have had decent scripted drives. Some opponents are scoring in junk time, but folks, that's it. And there's a building anxiety because if you look at Ohio State's schedule, thanks to I'll call him Jim. Why not? The Jim Franklin implosion in Happy Valley. You got nothing, dog. You didn't get Oregon this year. You didn't get Indiana this year. I think there's
didn't even get USC.
You didn't get USC. There's a crop of great teams in the Big Ten. You missed most of them. And
Illinois is their best win, probably, at Illinois.
Yeah.
Texas, maybe? And that was week 1. So you don't even feel confident about that because it's week 1. And so
I still feel very confident in Ohio State. I do understand the mental angst that they would deal with because of the series against Michigan and how it's gone.
It's not even this year, Andy. It's that they're thinking about the last 3 seasons.
And it's crazy because they're going to be in the playoff anyway. Like they're probably going into that game 11-0. They're going to make the playoff. And this is what I keep telling people who say, the larger playoff means these rivalries don't matter. Oh no, it very much matters to them whether they beat Michigan or not.
Yeah. Very
that hasn't changed. Do not offer the Ohio State fan or graduate in your life the devil's proposition of, well, what if you lost to Michigan again? and you got stuck in the first round and you caught fire again and won another national title. They don't want to talk about that.
No, it is funny though. They're like at Ohio State, sort of the more of the like old timer ish. Like if you're 45 plus or so, you're you're like extra mad about losing to Michigan, and you sort of view the national championship in a different lens. But if you're on the younger generation, you still are mad. You lost to Michigan, but there's a little more like, hey, we won the national title, and it's funny to watch like the generations sort of through the years change as far as the expectation level. And but either way, they're as Godfrey mentioned, the focus and sort of the nerves are like already sort of building for that game.
And you don't need to be nervous. You have the best team in the country, but I get it. It's been 4 years now.
Well, now it's just mental.
We're validating this,
right?
anxiety.
Well, it's been 6 years since Ohio State won the game, so they didn't play it in 2020. But the other thing about this that I do think is interesting is it gives Bryce Underwood 4 more games to sharpen his tools, and this guy's going to be great. Like I have very much enjoyed watching his evolution, and it feels like they're starting to turn him loose a little bit more every week.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to see what he can be when they just fire the money cannon at some receivers in the portal next year.
Because that's. Go ahead, Godfrey.
I was going to say, Ross. It's kind of why I'm hitting pause on any Palace intrigue in Ann Arbor. They could acquit themselves well down the backstretch, still lose to Ohio State, but I feel like the potential there, you wouldn't want to disrupt the coaching staff.
9-3, everything's fine. Like it's hunky dory. You roll merrily along and get better for next year.
This is the one school that I've heard so far where I'm like, actually, don't do that. Just hang tight.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, again, it's year 2. Yeah, freshman quarterback. Like, I didn't understand sort of the buzz around Sharon's job before. I didn't understand it except for impatient fans that we have.
Sure.
It's kind of like
we love impatient fans.
The theme. Yes.
They subscribe to podcasts and they
do.
They pay our mortgages. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. That's why I'm telling Auburn, you hear me? Look, they're out to get you. It's real. Don't listen to Ross. There really is a conspiracy against you. Tune in next week. All right.
Oh my God.
We have to encourage this. But look, we have to encourage this. I worked in pro wrestling. Okay, this is how it works. You have to encourage.
It's like not always. Everybody wants to think that as soon as you change coaches, like that's the problem, right? The coach is the problem.
Yeah.
Always. The coach is always a problem. And as soon as you change, it's going to change everything. In this day and age, that could be further from the truth because of the roster management and compensation and all that stuff.
Ross, never tell them to go back and look at old draft or hiring grades.
Mm-hmm.
Like after a hiring cycle or like I'm going to give my grades out. Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
15% of those hires are going to work out. And everybody else you're going to give an A grade to somebody who's going to get fired in 3 years.
It's like marriages, but worse.
Oh, considerably way worse. Yeah.
Hiring grades, by the way, the stupidest thing we do.
Pretty dumb. Almost as dumb as preseason polls.
I always love my famous, I can see the confetti on the field, but here's my way too early for next season.
You're way too early. Yeah, there you
There's
go.
like 10 of our colleagues where I'm like, stop it. Like, just punch yourself in the face instead.
Click. So.
Penn State versus Texas National Championship 2026.
Oh my God. This is going to be a wild end of the season, guys, because there are going to be results that just blow our minds. And I think we have these assumptions about the playoff that this team's going to get in. We don't know. Like the weird stuff's coming. We've played a whole lot of this season. The cumulative effects of the hits and the injuries are starting to pile up. Like the weird stuff is coming, and I am here for it. Speaking of interesting, weird stuff, if you'd actually like to see Ross's beanie right now, because Ross is wearing a spectacular beanie.
This is my Andy. This is my we're getting toward ski season.
That's a took. That's a took, man.
Yeah. Ross is spiritually in Park City already.
Yes,
but he's not there yet.
Okay. So I have to wait.
But if you want to see Ross's beanie live and in living color, turn on your smart TV, look at your home screen, find that Yahoo Sports Network icon, and you can watch the College Football Enquirer and see all of us. Also, if you'd like to see it on your phone, on your tablet, on the go, 24/7, 365, yahoosports.tv is the address. Go to yahoosports.tv and go enjoy all of the offerings from the Yahoo Sports Network, including the College Football Enquirer. When we come back, Ross and I, similar stories, different people. We each recently talked to a national champ winning head coach who got a big buyout, who's ready to come back to college football right now. Ross talked to Jimbo Fisher. I talked to Ed Orgeron. We'll talk about it when we come back. We're back at the College Football Enquirer, and Ross and I, pretty similar stories. Two very different people, two very interesting people.
Just
Ross, you talked to Jimbo Fisher. I talked to Ed Orgeron. Both of them are ready to get back in. Jimbo Fisher is assembling a staff. He's going to try to get one of these open head coaching jobs. Ed Orgeron, it sounds like, maybe trying to get a D-line coaching job. I don't think he feels super confident about being able to get a big-time head coaching job. But Ross, I want to talk to you about Jimbo first, because you met up with him in Tallahassee, which he moved back to Tallahassee, which is where his kids were. And he is trying to figure out what he wants to do. And like, I'll ask the question that all our listeners are asking. I know Jimbo Fisher. I think I know what his answer is going to be to this one, but I know me too. And my dream is to get paid to not work. And if somebody gave me $77 million to not work, you'd never be seen or heard from again.
Amen.
Yeah.
What's up with Jimbo Fisher ready to go coach again?
Why? Yeah. $26 million, I think, was paid to him within 4 months of his firing. And then he gets $7 million every spring for the next, I believe, 7 years. So it's like, and that was the question, right? I mean, like, we talked I sat there for 2.5 hours with him and his wife, Courtney, and most of it, the first hour and a half, was just talking, right, and eating and whatever. And then the last, 45 minutes, I put on the recorder, and that was my first question. Why? Like, why would you do this? And it's like, the answer is pretty much like every coach that you ask that question to who's retired or been fired. And it is because I miss it and can't live without it. And these coaches just have, you guys both know coaches really well, and they have this itch that they just can't get rid of. And the only thing that solves it is watching film, coaching the boys up, and put on a headset during a game. And that's what the case was for him. And Courtney, his wife, sort of leaned in and said, it's in his blood. Like, he can't get away from it.
Get a blood transfusion.
So, but it's crazy. I'm like, Jimbo, why now? It's the most unstable, sort of chaotic environment than it's ever been. Like, why would you want to do this? But it doesn't matter. He's been watching film a lot for the ACC network analyst job that he has. And he just gets sucked into it. He wants to be on the sideline again. So, as you talk to administrators around the country right now, there's not a whole lot running in Jimbo's direction. But I do think, as we've talked about on the show a lot lately, there's going to be so many open jobs this year. And as I quoted anonymously one AD in that story of saying, we're going to have more quality openings than quality candidates for a job. The pool is sort of shallow. So maybe Jimbo and Ed Orgeron find a way to get it done and get in there.
Yeah. So I actually talked to Jimbo about the money thing when he was the head coach at Florida State. I said, I believe his first job was GA at Samford, which is where he went to school. I said, when you were a GA at Samford, did you ever imagine you get rich doing this? And he's like, no, of course not. He's like, I didn't. I could have chosen a much more lucrative profession at the outset. I did this because I love doing this, and that doesn't change for these guys. Even when they make millions of dollars, it does not change for them. So I get that part of it. I'm curious, Ross, what you think, because you're absolutely right about how many jobs are going to come open, and then the backfill of the other jobs that open as those get filled. But what's Jimbo's floor? Not what you think the best job he can be offered or the worst job he could be offered will be, the one he'd accept? Like, where's the floor of what he'd accept?
That's a good question. I think
Talk about it.
probably a high level group of 6 job, right?
So like a Tulane
South
type of
Florida,
job?
Tulane. Yeah. Right.
Ooh,
like that sort of. Yeah.
UAB's open, Jimbo.
UAB. Yeah. Where, he coached or he played at Samford, right? In Birmingham.
Well, he also had a verbal offer to be their head coach at one point, but a shadowy cabal put a kibosh on that. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
might have involved someone with the last name Bryant.
Yeah.
What? In that state? Look, I would look like, if it was me and someone handed me 26 or 6, I would look like one of those people in Key West where you're like, is he homeless or a millionaire? And you're like, it could go either way, right? So, but the reality of
Rest
this
in peace,
is,
Mike Leach.
Damn right. Andy, like, Orgeron might be the best example of this. Those of us who are like, I can't believe you're doing this. Why wouldn't you not just go like live happily ever after with your money? If you have the capability of doing that, you'll probably never be a successful college football head coach. The wiring of these individuals to command that kind of money and that buyout and play that kind of brinksmanship requires a mindset that is anathema to taking a rest, to being still, to honestly being alone with your thoughts sometimes. These guys, it's a sports writer cliche. We need a sound effect from our producer TJ every time I say that. Sports writer cliche coming. They are true.
It's got to be like a Bruce Springsteen.
Absolutely. Who's going to the movie? Anybody going to the movie this weekend? Sports writers, sound off in the comments. Who's going to see the Springsteen movie?
Lip from Shameless plays Bruce Springsteen.
I think it kind of works, man.
I know he's in the Bear too.
Yeah, I don't know if the height is there, but like it works, man. I don't want to slight a short king, but anyway, what was I talking about? This entire concept of like being able to sit with your money in retirement is not possible for these individuals. But it's
right.
Orgeron has something that Jimbo doesn't, which is a perfect statement in the Southeastern Conference. Everything against Ed Orgeron, and there can be a litany, right? I covered his first year as a head coach, and it was a functional car wreck week to week. But that man put together a perfect college football season in the Southeastern Conference with a Heisman-winning quarterback and waltzed through the postseason in pure dominance, right? LSU fans still talk about that season. They always will, okay? Jimbo doesn't have that. Jimbo came into the SEC with a chip on your shoulder. Ross, I remember reading you did a very long takeout on his hire at A&M years ago when Jimbo was hired at A&M.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I did that.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, maybe it was Andy.
But it was one of us.
You guys look the same. I swear I thought it was Ross. He came in aware of the criticism that, he won it in the ACC. And he won it in the BCS. Yeah. And so for Jimbo, I can definitely see a restlessness in wanting to redefine his legacy. And right now, Jimbo's legacy is, maybe this is just short term, the phrase buyout is going to be associated in the first sentence of Jimbo's legacy. And I think that frustrates the hell out of him.
The thing with Jimbo that I need answered from, and the only way Jimbo can answer it is when he gets back in, is have you evolved as a coach? Have you evolved as a tactician? Ed Orgeron doesn't have to answer that because he was never a play caller.
Right.
He's not the one creating the scheme.
Right.
He would be, and I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. I think he's going to wind up as like an associate head coach, D-line coach, recruiting coordinator.
Yeah.
At a big school. So
what about Oregon State?
Orgeron State? I could take it.
Nice.
How satisfying would that be for those of us sports writers over the years who are like, it's Orger?
Well, and autocorrect.
Right. The
autocorrect always corrects Orgeron to Oregon.
To Oregon. Yep.
20 years of that.
But the Jimbo thing, schematically, he refused to adapt. And that was a problem. So Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback, he works in our business now. I used to work with him at SiriusXM, and Aaron told me something about Jimbo years ago that I've not been able to unsee since. He's like, watch how a Jimbo quarterback carries the ball. Watch where he puts it. He always keeps it right here, even when he's moving around. And he's like, that is exact. And so Aaron understands this because when Jimbo was at his peak, that's when Aaron was playing at Georgia. And he's like, that's how we did it when I was at Georgia, but that's not how anybody does it anymore. Like, you got to especially if you have a really athletic quarterback, you got to let him move around and be free. Like, Jimbo's quarterbacks tend to look robotic. And look no further than Haynes King, who was one of Jimbo's last quarterbacks at Texas A&M, who got away from Jimbo and immediately became good. So,
Dude.
like, Jimbo's got to figure out how to coach in this era of football. And it's not about, like, Jimbo's roster construction, his recruiting, all that stuff's great. He's got to get the on-field part right.
Right. And what I'm saying is, for whatever off-field saga went on between Ed Orgeron, LSU boosters, and Scott Woodward, like, I'd rather take that as category A in a hiring process than looking Jimbo Fisher in the eye and saying, are you going to outsource a play calling OC? Because Orgeron's going to tell you, I'll hire the best assistants for the job. I just want to manage.
Because he's gonna be like, I've never called a play in my life, and I don't intend to start now.
Yeah, these are very two different
but that's
approaches.
an advantage.
Yeah.
That's an advantage.
Sure.
Whereas Jimbo is going to be like, like, the biggest thing going against Jimbo right now is his ego. Like, he's not that far removed from being in the game and wanting to wrest control back of that offense. And to your point, Andy, I don't know if he's changed.
Well, and you could see some of the comments to me when I asked him about offensive football, because I did, and he spoke about all the changes off the field, but then on the field he mentioned that running the football and stopping the run are still essential. And
it's all the same plays, Ross. Everybody's got the same plays.
He started talking about, like, how a lot of the movement he sees on offense now, like the pre-snap movement and all this stuff, isn't working.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go
out in a lot of that.
We're gonna go back to holding it until 2 seconds before the clock runs out and running the same pro set.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
he's gonna kill himself in interviews.
When you run that and you have better players than everyone else and a quarterback with a good arm and a photographic memory, things tend to go well. Like,
right, Andy, but we just said that there's never been more parity at the top of the sport.
I agree. You can't do that. And especially the jobs that are going to consider him, he's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, this isn't going to go the way he thinks.
The most interesting kind of conversation topic we had was about Nick Saban. I feel like because there's clearly something there, right, between Jimbo and his old boss. We all know about the public sort of dust up over NIL, and he addressed that with me and why he did take that approach. But it's sort of obvious to me that Nick Saban's success and success against him sort of does drive him to return and have that success.
Well, I'm fascinated to see where because if he landed at a Tulane or a Memphis, I could see him doing pretty well.
He's driven by a feud with a man who's retired.
Well, Nick can't win any more games, so he can't gain ground.
Look, man, I don't have a dog in this hunt, and I actually would love to talk to Jimbo about something unrelated for a project I'm working on. So I'm not trying to step on I'm not trying to trip on myself here, but this does not sound good. This does not sound like someone who's changed his ways and wants to get into a brand new form of college football. This sounds like axes to grind and being convinced you're the smartest guy in the room on offense is not what an AD at the school that is probably going to hire him or the level. This is not what you should say.
Well, one AD, when I was calling around, one AD or one administrator, I should say, that it's been around him, said to me that if he is going to return, he needs to have somebody really good manage the day-to-day operations, because this administrator was talking about how his best asset is ball, and that he needs to still be that guy to run so the offense and call plays. But his biggest thing is getting things done in a world where, as Godfrey mentioned, the CEO sort of role, Ed Orgeron might play.
Do you guys wonder if the stronger GM model might work in the favor of a guy like Jimbo Fisher? What Jim Nagy and Oklahoma are doing, where the GM does have a lot more power and control. It feels like that's the only way you can free up a play calling head football coach to do more things related to football rather than deal with all the other crap.
Right. And there's just something about invoking Saban in this conversation that makes me again, kind of
I don't
buyer beware, because
even
Nick
though they
left.
both won national titles, I don't put them in the same category. I put Jimbo and Ed Orgeron in the same category. They won one national title, but it was great.
My issue is not comparing the two. My issue is that I feel like one of the reasons why Jimbo has such a hang up about Nick is that I do feel like he's way more similar to Nick than he wants to be. And I'm looking at this template, this thing
except
that you're
for the
chasing.
adaptability.
Exactly. But but even to the point, like Nick retired and told everybody why. If you listened hard enough, you knew why he was retiring right then. And this is stuff that Jimbo struggles with as well. So I have a hard time. I have a hard time with this. I think he could get back in if he did some things that were similar. I said this on the last show, like Stoops did. Schematically became agnostic, hired the best man for the position, started to understand that we have to ride the wave and not fight the wave. I have not seen that behavior. And from what Ross is telling me about the story, it doesn't sound like he's in a place to accept change and become a different man.
It sounds like he's Jimbo Fisher. So
So you know what you're getting.
You know what you're gonna get. That's right.
Yeah.
I thought, like, Andy, one of the most interesting parts of just sitting with him and then making some calls afterward was like every Wednesday there's this like secret group of college and pro stakeholders that do a call. Belichick's on there, Bill Polian's on there, Mike Tannenbaum. There's a lot of like former GMs on there, and they're like sharing, I guess, information, which I didn't.
Is anybody telling Belichick?
And Jimbo's on there.
Don't
too.
recruit a Sunbelt roster.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Illuminati's paying off quite like you thought it would, dog.
I thought you were going to say, because there used to be a group of ex-coaches that would get together for breakfast, like in Charleston, like Ralph Friedgen and some other folks. And they would just talk ball. Like, I thought you were going to say it was something like that. No, it's more of a shadowy cabal.
Of people struggling, of people who need help. Maybe make the cabal less shadowy. We can all help you there, bud.
By the way, we've now mentioned shadowy cabal in 2 separate segments. So let's see if we can figure out how to do it in a third. When we come back, Ross's Congressional Minute plus I've Got a Feeling. We are back with the College Football Enquirer, and this is a moment I've been a little nervous about for the last couple of weeks because Ross Dellenger has been fighting a respiratory infection. And if you've heard Ross's Congressional Minute before, you know it requires optimum lung capacity. So everybody bear with us here. I'm a little nervous, but I'm about to start the clock on Ross's Congressional Minute. Ross, are you ready?
Yeah.
Get it out now.
All right. Ross, go.
As the SCORE Act gains momentum to pass the House potentially next month, Senate Democrats hold a news conference on Tuesday where they expressed extreme doubt that the SCORE Act, even their own legislation, the SAFE Act, would both pass both chambers. Well, that's not a huge surprise. Leading Senate Democrats speaking publicly on it seems to have cemented a fact. The SCORE Act needs change before it can gain a necessary bipartisan support. As it turns out, the SCORE Act is undergoing changes, including an addition of a clause called the sense of Congress that may appease Cody Campbell and enough Republican House members for it to pass through the House next month. But why do we care if it's going to just die in the Senate? Well, the SCORE Act could be combined with the SAFE Act, the Democratic bill, or some other legislation, perhaps from Ted Cruz, to reach bipartisan support. And oh, by the way, during Tuesday's news conference, Senator Maria Cantwell railed on conferences and schools for exploring private equity and capital deals. We have news there in the Big Ten's proposal as a president's call that was scheduled for Wednesday, was canceled. USC and Michigan remain against the deal, and any plans to do a 16-team investment deal in the Big Ten is made more difficult. That was a tough one. I have one more line. Was made more difficult because that means, of course, Ohio State would have to sign an extension of the grant of rights without Michigan if they did a 16-team capital investment deal in the Big Ten, and that's probably unlikely. So that president's call that was scheduled for yesterday was canceled, and the deal sort of remains paused.
Couple things regarding the SAFE Act and the SCORE Act and the acts and the varying houses of Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives. What you described sounds like compromise. In 2025, I can't even imagine such a thing.
Yeah.
But hey, that's how it's supposed to actually work. So we'll see if it happens. But the PE thing, very funny. The Michigan Regents meeting last week, where the Michigan Regent called it a payday loan, which is a very accurate description of this PE plan. That was really funny.
Yeah. They really sort of went after the deal. About three Michigan Regents. There's only 8 of them, and about 3 or 4 of them kind of went public with it, and it really has stymied the deal, because despite the athletic director at Michigan, Ward Manuel, and the interim president, Domenico Grasso, which is a great name, right?
For a pope, yes.
Yeah, Domenico Grasso. Despite them being on board, the Michigan board does not, the 8-member university board does not sound like
because they're responsible stewards of a large state university. And USC they see how
too.
Stupid this is.
USC's board and USC's athletic director, I think, remain against it. But there was like talk of, hey, could we do a 16 school deal and just cut out Michigan and USC? But again, this sort of involves the extension of the grant of rights, which is really hard to get that done.
It's like asking Michigan to go to the SEC. If they did that, if I were Greg Sankey, I would call Michigan and be like,
"What's up?
Coming?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up? You up?"
How funny would that be? We've added Michigan, like the SEC. We've added Michigan, USC, and Notre Dame.
He won't be able to say. He won't be able to say anymore, which is Greg Sankey's like money line always.
Yeah.
We have no school outside of contiguous states.
Yeah, contiguous.
I guess that touch each other. Contiguous.
Yes, but if you got Notre Dame and Michigan, they would still be geographically contiguous. They couldn't add USC. That would be a little more tricky.
Yeah, Kentucky's the connecting.
Kentucky touches Indiana, which touches Michigan.
Yes, indeed.
See, there's always a solution, Ross, if you look hard enough.
I know.
All right, it is time to pick some games.
You think football is still fun? I feel great, man. I got a bad feeling about this.
I've got a feeling Godfrey is going to go first because he's got maybe the biggest game of the week in terms of stakes, in terms of quality of opponents. Godfrey, tell us about number 1 versus number 2.
Number 1 versus number 2 on this weekend. That's right, because you guys are all paying attention to the FCS like you should. North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Number 1 versus number 2. If you haven't been paying attention,
this is the Bison versus the Jackrabbits.
Yeah. Why was there a Z in Bison?
That's how they say it. The Bison.
Bison.
They get if you say the Bison, they get mad.
Let's set the stakes. You want home field if you're one of these programs. You want home field throughout the FCS playoffs. If you've ever been to Fargo, it's a noise reliant issue if you go in as a visitor. And if you've been to South Dakota State, it's a weather issue basically to come in and catch teams. By the way, a lot of cold weather teams normally host and dominate in the FCS. You are seeing that kind of maybe shift. Tarleton State down in Texas could be a top 5 team and is currently still contending for potentially grabbing some home field spots away. So we're seeing a little diversification here. This is really going to come down to, if you haven't paid attention to FCS at all this year, the loser's still very much alive to grab one of the top 2 seeds and host. Some things will have to shake out depending on Montana State, and Tarleton State as well. The thing to watch for here is the health of South Dakota State quarterback Chase Mason, who got banged up against Murray State. Their offense has not looked fantastic running the ball. They probably need to rely a little bit on the play action here. This is interesting because North Dakota State is looking like, if you just don't know anything about the FCS, you're like, oh yeah, they win all the time. That's the level of offense they're playing at. However, Cole Payton, the quarterback, probably the best quarterback in the FCS right now, one could argue, North Dakota State hasn't really seen a dominant offense in the FCS yet. Or sorry, dominant defense, I apologize, in the FCS yet. So as I was digging through this week, a lot of these stats feel padded according to people who follow this week in and week out. This is going to suss out. It's going to be a very close game because of the quarterback health, because of the way Peyton's been playing for North Dakota State. I'm going to take the Bison to win this game.
Wow.
All right.
I learned a lot about FCS football there, Godfrey. Thank you for filling me in.
I'll be back.
I'm going to go, my feeling is in Stark Vegas. Mississippi, where Texas comes to town as a 7-point favorite. Mississippi State's played better. They're of late. They haven't gotten a win. But we've seen Texas struggle. We saw them have to get pushed into overtime at Kentucky, and I think Mississippi State can keep it close enough to cover the 7-point spread.
Well, that's not the real reason. That's not the real reason you're saying.
Okay,
tell
I'm glad
them
you brought
the real
this up,
reason,
because I know where you're going.
What's the real
Tell
reason?
them the real reason why you're picking the dogs this weekend.
Why?
Well, I'm not. I picked Texas to cover, but I want to change it now because I forgot which week this was.
Yeah, baby.
This is the week they're wearing the Wayne Madkin uniforms.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The Madkin.
The interlocking logo is back.
The interlocking MSU.
Yes, EMSU. It's the best logo, man. It's
the
the best
Jackie Sherrill logo.
Beautiful.
It is the logo. It is the logo of Mississippi
along
State.
with Jackie. Yes.
Yep. I think of Wayne Madkin. I think of a certain shoeless defensive coordinator out there calling that 3-3, baby. Okay, I'm talking about
that poor bull that became a steer.
That's right. That's back when Mississippi State was fearless and terrifying at the same time.
Like, hey, we're in ag school. We're gonna teach them something.
No socks, Jolie Dunn, cutting off
Jolie
cows'
Dunn,
testicles, that whole thing.
That's right. It is the Wayne Madkin uniform. That is the first one. Maybe Fred Smoot. Shout out to Fred Smoot for Heisman.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Pork chop Womack. Can we?
Mm-hmm.
We can't forget pork chop Womack.
Dante Walker. We're just remembering some guys
Walker.
now. Ross, you want to go?
Dante Walker.
Let's name
like a
some
bowling
dudes.
ball back there.
Ross, you weren't at the snow game in Shreveport, were you?
No, I wasn't there. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
Yeah.
could watch it.
But anyway, remembering some dudes, Mississippi State, Jackie Sherrill. I don't know what. I know Nike. There was a Nike issue with that logo for a long time.
Yep. Yeah.
But they got to bring that thing back, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's
that would be like
with this game. Make it the permanent uniform.
Yeah, that would be like if you took the Longhorn off the helmet or the G off the helmet at Georgia. Like to me, that is the quintessential Mississippi State logo.
Mississippi State has not won an SEC game yet under Jeff Levy. They should have last week at Florida. When you have the ball inside the opponent's 30 with 30 seconds left to go, and it's second down, and you just need to kick a field goal to win the game, don't throw. Public service announcement.
Yeah.
Because a 342-pound defensive tackle might intercept that pass. And that's what happened. So,
Bad.
All right, I will go to my game. So, I was very confident in my pick last night. I'm even more confident in this morning because when I sent this pick into our producer, TJ, last night, Michigan was a 14.5-point favorite against Sparty in East Lansing. And that's a big spread, but I feel very confident in where Michigan's going and the opposite of confident in where Michigan State is going. Since then, the gamblers noticed that the game moved off a key number, and so money poured in the other way. And now Michigan is favored by 13.5. So I got that point back. I'm now under the key number. Give me Michigan minus 13.5 on the road in East Lansing. I realize this is do or die time for Sparty, but I like we talked about in the first segment, I don't have any confidence in them to put together a great game plan or have an identity or anything because they just haven't in this era.
Yeah.
Well, we need some wins, boys. Nobody's above 500.
I thought I was. Or am I?
You are 500.
Watch out. Let's go Bison.
Yeah, you're 4-4. Ross is 2-6, and I am 3-5. So, Godfrey. By the way, Godfrey looks like a very serious candidate in the photos that we run with these.
He's running for local congressman.
I would vote for you for my local water board.
What are you talking about?
For sure.
What photos?
Yeah.
Check
the
text,
photos. I've got a feeling photos. Yeah. Check the text.
I'm gonna murder our producer.
Andy looks like he's maybe trying to
I hate that photo.
like
I really
like
do.
dental tape or something. He's got the white smileys, you know.
Yeah.
My photo is me squinting into the sun because that's what the photographer told me to do. I don't.
And I've got a
it represents none of my dirtbag tendencies. Yeah,
you look very distinguished. Meanwhile, Ross's traps are just popping out all over the place. He's been hitting the shrugs really hard.
Shrugs.
You're on that trap bar. What's up?
I have 3 weeks without going to the gym, by the way, because this upper respiratory that's going to change here in a few hours, and I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah, get after it.
Listen, we know your lung capacity is back, sort of near. We heard that. I mean, you almost made it through the Congressional Minute. It was more like the Congressional Minute in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
A little
We'll see.
eccentric. You'll be fine.
Gentlemen, this is going to be a fun week. One thing to think about as we watch these games, there are so many games involving one-loss teams, which means there will be a lot of games next week involving two-loss teams. Playoff elimination games happening in earnest next week. There's a few this week. Like, if for example, if Ross's pick is correct in a straight-up sense, not necessarily an against the spread sense, but if Mississippi State were to beat Texas, they would probably be out. There's a few of those this week. There's potentially a lot more of those next week. So get ready. Get ready. The stakes are ratcheting up, as they say, and we will be here for it. We'll break all of the action down on Sunday. We'll talk to you then.